Dominic,
Hey Mike, what's up?
not too much. Ready to kick off this week.
Indeed, we're deep in the holiday season, so we've
We-
got holiday themed films.
Yes, yep. And the apartment, it's kind of a little bit of a Christmas and a New Year's one. So I kind of mostly think of it as a New Year's one, but it definitely has a Christmas element, although it's not exactly during the Christmas night. It's not exactly a happy Christmas one, but I'll let you go ahead and do the intro for it, and then we'll. This was my pick, just
Yep.
so everybody knows. This is my pick. It's a movie that I love, but you go ahead and give the intro.
Yeah, it's not just you. This is a very beloved movie. This is The Apartment in 1960, starring Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. And I just have to point out Fred MacMurray as well,
Yep,
although
who's right over your shoulder.
he's not as well known these days.
No, no, no. People don't remember My Three Sons, but
So so we follow Jack Lemmon's main character, Calvin Clifford, who basically works for an insurance company, a large insurance company, though he is on the lower rung of the corporate ladder.
very low. Yeah,
And trying to get ahead, he is helping out some of his superiors at the office by lending them his apartment for extramarital affairs.
yes, yeah,
And
and the yeah. Keep going.
and they're very demanding. So sometimes they're basically kicking him out of his own apartment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's obvious there's no HR department in this company.
Oh,
And
very.
and I mean, let's face it, this is 1960 is the movie, and let's face it, this was the days of the boys
This,
club.
this was Mad Men.
Yes, it is. If anybody that has not seen this, and I really would urge anybody that hasn't seen it, see it. It's a great movie. At least in my opinion. I don't know whether I want to get Dom's opinion in a second. But in my opinion, this is like a real. I love Jack Lemmon, and I love Shirley MacLaine. Fred MacMurray, I've always been. I think he's a very competent actor, but I've never really been that fond of him. But I think he's very competent actor.
He's a good actor. He does not excel.
No, well, there are certain movies that he's better in, but Double Indemnity, I think he's quite good. But I think he plays a better evil person, which he is in this one. Um,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
but I want to get your reaction too because I
Well,
know
and
you,
let me go on with some
yeah,
more description because I haven't mentioned Shirley MacLaine yet. Shirley MacLaine is an elevator girl, elevator
yes,
operator
yeah,
within the office building that this insurance company inhabits. And so there's a number of flirtations between her and Jack Lemmon's character.
yeah,
Unbeknownst to him, she had a long running relationship with Fred MacMurray's character, Jeff Sheldrake, who is sort of an uppity up.
yeah. He's the like one of the CEOs. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that he was like that uppity up, but
yeah. Maybe not,
definitely
maybe not.
higher, much higher
Yeah,
level than
but he's
that.
like the big boss. Yeah,
Mhm, mhm. And she has been constantly disappointed because he has promised to leave his wife for her and yet has not done it. And in fact, has not even talked
intend
to his
to.
wife about this affair,
Yeah,
um, which leads to her attempting suicide in Jack Lemmon's apartment, which is probably the most extreme thing about this movie
yeah, yeah.
in 1960.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that I mean I can't remember how many movies I saw where somebody like older movies where somebody did something like that. But and this is a Billy Wilder movie too. I love Billy Wilder
He's great.
comedies and yes, Bill there's so many that were really good. Um, but um, but yeah, that was or it was a really extreme thing. And the really sad part about it is Jack Lemmon truly likes this girl. Was hoping to ask her out. She stood him up, in fact. When Fred MacMurray called her, she came running, and as she always does with him. And but it's the very sad part too is, and he's, I don't know if you got that sense because I know we were talking before about this movie, and you had a kind of a bad opinion about, well, I mean, naturally you would about the men that work in the company, but I didn't. I kind of got the impression maybe you felt that way about Jack Lemmon's character also, but he actually really didn't have any choice in this because they were threatening him and his whole future at the company, and he's trying to succeed. He's
You
trying to get
know,
ahead.
you
I
say
mean,
that.
what's that?
You say that. He didn't have a choice. But yet, when he comes to the realization of what a schmuck he's been, he leaves it in a heartbeat. He's like, he
Yeah, but
walks out. He's going to move. He turns his back on the whole thing. It sounds like he could have walked away at any moment.
well, anybody can walk away from anything, but when you're trying to build something at a company, um, and there he is taking punches for because he's trying to be a good guy and not, and he's still trying to protect his boss and everything. But no, I mean, if you're ever been like really invested in a company that you work for and you're trying to make that your career and build it, and he's a young guy, and I mean, these guys it was either quit, which is what he ultimately has to do, because he makes such a hard decision about just how reprehensible this whole thing was that he finally, it's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not gonna, because he got the promotion that he finally wanted. He actually was above the guys that were
I mean, this
threatening
guy
him.
basically sells his soul.
Yeah, in order to do it. And then he says it's not worth it and he walks away. But to do that, I mean, when we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves as far as but she actually, I mean, he's moving out, and what she actually says to him, like, "Where are you going?" And he goes, "I don't know, another, like, maybe I'll move to a different apartment, or maybe I'll go to another state." And he's thinking, well, because New York, he had gone to New York for his career, and suddenly he's going to have to leave, and so it's a big thing. He's giving up everything that he has there. Um, so, like I said, that was, and to really get the feel for what was going on there, you have to really understand that boys club mentality of what Mad Men was about. I mean, Shirley MacLaine's working the elevator, and guys are coming into the elevator, and they're pinching her butt. Um, they're doing all kinds of, it's like grab ass in the elevator, and it's stuff that like never could be tolerated nowadays. And someone's going to go right to HR over something like that now. But back then, it was like if she had tried to go to HR or complain to somebody, they would have just gone, "Oh yeah, boys will be boys," and it would have been that kind of a mentality, and she would have had no recourse. And a lot of the bosses were really putting the moves on secretaries. Secretaries a lot of times, some of them entered into affairs just because they were, so, it was like, I got to keep my job here. And, I mean, it was a rough world. It was a really rough world for women, certainly. And, even for guys trying to, I mean, these guys, all these bosses above him were saying, if you want to get ahead here, and he explained kind of like how he started lending the key out, because at first it was just like he did it as a favor to some guy that needed to change his clothes, and it turned into like the boss is going, "Hey, let me use the key." you know, and they're all
I
telling him, yeah, we'll give you a
I
good review.
I felt so bad for Jack Lemmon's character. This
Yeah,
guy was the ultimate schmuck.
he was a schmuck, and he was basically a really good guy. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't like
I don't know if I would call him a good guy. I mean,
uh,
he was facilitating infidelity on a mass scale, and he was such a smuck that he was not even profiting from it.
dude, look at the scene behind me right now. These are the guys, and these guys were coming into his office and going, or wasn't even his office. They were coming to his cubicle like this. He finally got the office, but they were coming in there and going. And by the way, Larry Tate from Bewitched,
Yep.
and also Mr. Hand. I'm trying to think of his name, but and also
Mr.
he
Hand,
was
I'm thinking of My Favorite Martian.
my favorite Martian, absolutely. But he was also Mr. Hand in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, you're right. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yeah, Mr. Hand. So those are two roles, my favorite Martian and Mr. Hand. But yeah, he's been in a lot of movies, character actor. There are some fairly big names in this, but yeah, like I said, they were very threatening. They were saying, you want to keep, you know, you want to keep our good graces, you better toss over the. And even after he got the promotion and started handing
Right.
the key to Fred MacMurray, and Fred MacMurray's threatening him too. He's like, you want to keep up
All he had to
the
do is drop a dime to any of their wives. I mean, like, he had a perfect blackmail scenario. He was
sure.
such a smuck, he did not take advantage of
Yeah,
it.
well, you saw what happened to Fred MacMurray's secretary when she did it. He said clear out your desk, and he fired her, and she had no recourse. And yeah, she did end his marriage over it, but she still lost her job.
Yeah,
And
but she
so,
did not threaten him. That's the thing. Like, he had leverage. It's not like the secretary said, "Look, I'm not going to bother you, but I could talk to your wife unless you let me keep my job." She had leverage. He had more. He had leverage over multiple executives.
well, I'm just saying
He
those
didn't even
days,
charge them money.
yeah, those those days, it was well, what he really wanted was just a good review. That's all, so he could start moving up in the company. And but these guys were playing hardball with him. So I mean, they're all smiling in this scene here because Fred MacMurray has just walked into the room and said, "Hey, how do you like your new office?" And at that point, he's making him give the key. When he goes into the office to get his promotion, Fred MacMurray is going, well, I hear he's actually starting to threaten him and saying, I heard there's this whole thing with a key going around, and that's against company policy. And then he's standing there and he's going, so, like, what can you do for me? And Jack Lemmon's kind of clueless, and he's going I don't understand. And he's going, I thought you were a bright boy. You could can't you figure this out? And he finally goes, oh, the key, and he takes it out. And Fred MacMurray's like, yep. So he now Fred MacMurray's blackmailing him. So like I said, it was I
And
felt
he wasn't blackmailing him. That's not blackmail. That was he was basically bribing him.
well, it was worse than a bribe. It's harder than a bribe. When you're threatening, this is why they have an HR department. This is why lawsuits are being brought nowadays. They didn't have that back then. Good luck trying to do that back in the night in 1960. Good luck. I'm telling you, I grew up. I mean, I was only born in '59, but I mean, I grew up in the I was a little kid, but man, I saw what that was about. Even in the 1970s, when I was probably a teenager, um, I still saw so much of that. That people don't realize how far we've come when it comes to, and it's this stuff still happens. Come on, I mean, Harvey Weinstein, I mean,
It's true.
there's,
It is funny that like there tends to be this nostalgia for the good old days
yes,
when there were true family values
yeah,
and there was less crime and blah blah blah. My God, we are so much better off today.
yeah, we are. I get it because I grew up in a real simple time. We rode our bikes on the street, we stayed out late. I mean, not that kids didn't still get abducted and things like that, bad things happened. They did. But at the same time, um, life was simpler. But we tend to, everybody romanticizes um, past times. I don't care whether you're thinking about, you know, the Wild West and you're thinking to yourself, oh, that was the day when men were men, they rode horses, they shot guns, it was so much fun. And it's like, no, it wasn't. First, there was disease. There were, we were having a big war with Native Americans. There was, people were dying, people were getting hurt, people were suffering. There was a lot of bad things going on. And then you think of things like, in the 19 people think, oh, the 1950s, everything was, but it wasn't so great for black people. I mean, it wasn't so great for a lot of minorities. And so, yeah, we tend to romanticize certain things about past times. But this movie, and this is one of the reasons why I like this movie too, because I mean, I think movies that are set in situations like this are actually good for us because you do look at a movie like this and you think, oh my God, things were so bad at that time. It was really hard for people to have to deal with the climate that was going on. And this is a good example of offices were terrible. And again, that boys club mentality was really bad. And those are the things that we forget about that because you look at even like Mad Men, people watch that series, and I love that series. I thought it was a lot of fun. But when you're watching it, like you should be thinking of the fact that it wasn't so great for women, and women did not have power. And I mean,
Well, I mean, it
it
wasn't
was
so great for a lot of people. I mean, you can look at
yeah,
the executives,
yeah.
but like, were they truly happy? What
No,
was
they
their
weren't.
alcohol addiction like?
Yeah,
How fulfilling were their lives ultimately? They may have seemed to have power. They may have felt they had power.
yeah.
But ultimately, when you're in your twilight years looking back, what have you got?
Oh yeah. Well, a guy say like in Mad Men or like they were admin, but I mean like say you were a salesman. Like this is an insurance company. Probably a lot of these guys were salesmen, and you get older and maybe it's a little harder to make your sales. Maybe, when you're young and good looking and you're able to maybe like, get by with your personality, your looks, how young and debonair you are. And then as you get older, you're tired and it's a little hard to make those sales quotas. And all of a sudden they're giving the accounts to people that are, the new young guy that came in. And it's like, well, Joe's the hot shot now. So they pushed old guys out. There were no laws to protect old guys. If you were a minority, good luck getting into the company to begin with, and then you were fighting a battle there. Maybe they were only going to give you clients. That's a scene that happened, I think, in Mad Men. They were only given like clients that were from like the rare minority owned company or something. And it's like, oh, you can handle this account. And it's like, well, why can't I handle the premium account? It's because you're black, It's like, so I mean, like I said, there were
Well,
just bad
we
stuff.
had Death of a Salesman. We've got Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah. Oh
This is a
yeah.
theme.
Yes. So, but I mean, that's a little off from what we're the movies. But the movie, and for anyone that hasn't seen it, it develops into a beautiful romance because it starts out, of course, Jack Lemmon is completely miserable. He's handing out this key. He's getting sick. He's having to stay outside of his apartment. I mean, things aren't that great.
His neighbor thinks he's a complete dick.
Well, that's it. And he let himself be thought of that way. He protected all these people by making it look like, you know, that it was him. And he has it was a very nice Jewish couple next door. This doctor that like kept saying to him, you know, you know, someday you gotta, be a mensch. And he's like, you know what a mensch is a human being. And he's trying to tell him you need to be a better person. And he's a really good guy, the doctor. And his wife is really good too. When Shirley MacLaine does attempt suicide, he calls the doctor. And of course the doctor's like, I told you this was gonna happen. You were gonna keep doing this. You're playing with these women and something's going to happen. And so the two of them have to, he gets her stomach pumped out. It's,
I don't see how he got her stomach. Like this is again, I'm being realistic. This
yeah.
is a little
Oh, yeah.
technical.
Well, you've got some background in this. So, yeah.
You can, he does not have the equipment in his apartment to pump someone's stomach out.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, all I could think of was he was sticking his hand down her throat or some
Right. I mean, I don't know
fingers.
what he did and not take her to the hospital. If he was really worried,
Yeah.
she would have been transported to a hospital.
Yeah. 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 Cause I mean, I'm thinking, what do you do? Put a tube down her throat and pump water?
That just confused me because they said it a number of times. I'm like, how did she get her stomach pumped
Yeah.
in this guy's apartment?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah, I know. I kind of I love the way he's breaking those ammonia capsules and slapping her face to try to revive her and everything. It's
And
kind
then
of
make some
primitive.
coffee? Like, really?
Yeah. Well, that was the old thing. Listen, if a woman was having a baby, you boiled water,
And
you
gut
made some
towels.
you made yeah, hot towels, you made some coffee, everything was going to be okay. As long as you had some water boiling and some towels and it was all going to be okay. And the same thing but hey, that was the movies and how they portrayed medical emergencies. It's the old thing of the Western where the guy he's riding along and he gets shot in the shoulder and he's like, I just got it's in the shoulder. It's okay. It's like, you're not okay. You just took probably a 45 or a 50 caliber ball bullet into your
Well,
shoulder.
I mean, regardless, even if it went through the most innocuous area, you've
Yeah.
got no antibiotics. You're
No.
probably
That,
dead.
yeah. And that's it. See, talking again about the good old days.
Yeah,
Um, that's just one more thing. Disease, no antibiotics. All of those things, all of those things are like, again, you with your medical background, you you know more than most. It wasn't so good. It was the things that you died of. I mean, granted, people still die of the flu. We get it.
right.
But back then, your chances of dying from the flu were so much greater. I mean, if you got it bad or if you got pneumonia or something like that, it's like, good luck. Good luck with this one, maybe you'll make it, maybe you won't. And kids were dying like crazy. And poor woman with the, it's like, damn, the medical procedures and stuff that they just didn't have the treatment. They didn't have, I don't know, like I said, we look back and we kind of romanticize but no. And we are getting a little off, or I'm getting a little off
Yeah.
on that part. But at the same time, um, yes, I think I hate the fact that I'm saying and you're saying so many things about the negative aspects. This is a beautiful romantic movie, and
So
it does
so
take a little while to build, but it becomes.
it takes way too long to build.
I don't think so. I like the slow burn with this, and this is the kind of movie a lot of women that something like my friend Erica has a movie that she loves, and it's that one Serendipity. loves that movie. And
Okay, I have
like
no
I
idea what that
watched
movie
it,
is.
huh?
I do not know that movie.
Yeah, well, I like the movie. She loves the movie, and she is like you could be sitting there and you're all of a sudden like, we should watch a movie, and she go, oh, let's watch Serendipity. It's like again, but she loves that movie, and it's one of those movies. Um, a man and a woman meet. I think they're both engaged or they're both involved. It's kind of like the plot of um, You've Got Mail, and it's a little like that. The woman does this thing where she believes in the idea of serendipity that if something's meant to be, it will be. And so she like gives him something, and it's like, well, if and he loses it. It's got some clue about her so that he can contact her again, and he loses it. And so he it's a book, and he something she wrote in the book. So he it's this series. The whole movie is a series of frustrations of how near misses. They almost get together, but they don't, and things that keep happening like that. And of course, ultimately they do. But it not to stereotype woman, but they love those kind of things. They love the movies that have the near misses, the frustration of the builds. And that's what this kind of has a little bit of, because she's in love with Fred MacMurray. Jack Lemmon is in love with her right from the get-go. And
I would not
but
say he's in love with her. He's
I think
attracted to her.
he's pretty enamored with her. And
He
what
was going
the
on dates without her. He was like,
well,
oh yeah, my date's over there. He was like introducing her to women that he was going out with.
um, what do you mean?
So
In this,
so
what movie? What scene it
so
was?
she stands him up.
Yeah,
They meet again because they work in the same office building.
right.
She asks him what later, she asks him what he's doing one night, and he's like, oh, I've got a hot date. And he points to this woman, and she's showing interest. He's like, oh, I've got a date.
That was after he found out she was with Fred MacMurray. I'm pretty damn
Then,
sure.
and regardless, if
Yeah,
you're
but
in love
that,
with someone,
but no,
it
but
doesn't
that.
matter.
Well, at that point, first of all, that was his boss that she was involved with. Second of all, he also had been stood up by her, and he realized like, oh wow,
Oh, he had every reason to go out with someone else.
well, yes, and so it wasn't like, and he really wasn't going out with that was a lie, actually. The woman that he said he was going out with, he wasn't going out with her. He was just saving his pride. That's all it was. That was a man saving his pride. And as men will, as women will do, you save your pride sometimes. But because he knew he didn't have a chance with her, she was involved. But but as far as like, again, it's a series of like hits and misses. They didn't quite, and then he comes into his apartment, and he had just found out too, because she let him use her compact, and the compact had been left in his apartment, and it had a crack in it, and he realized when he saw the when she pulls the compact out to let him see how he looked in his new hat, his new bowler hat, um, he realizes, oh, this is the one that's involved with my boss. So that's when he lied too and said, oh yeah, got another date. But again, saving your pride. But I think he was in love with her from the time that this is actually when she's getting her stomach, or they're trying to keep her awake after her stomach had been pumped. But but anyway, he finds her on Christmas Eve in his apartment, overdosed. Gets the doctor. They're trying to take care of her. The doctor leaves him after he pleads with the doctor, "Don't report it. It was an accident. She didn't mean to do it." and the doctor's a really good guy, and he says, okay, I won't do it, but you're gonna have to keep a really good eye on her. And they're checking in on her, both him and his wife. Um, but Jack Lemmon is taking care of her, and this is where it becomes sweetly romantic because he's doing everything he can to try to take care of her, and he's still trying to protect Fred MacMurray. And he calls him, and Fred MacMurray is being a cold, distant bastard, which is what he is. And and it's here it is Christmas Eve or Christmas Day at this point, and there you see Fred MacMurray at his house, and he's in fact there's the call. He's celebrating Christmas with his family, and like I said, he's a deplorable character in this, Fred MacMurray, and he's got a kid. He's playing with the kid with his trains, and his wife has no clue that this shit is going on, and and she says, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Oh, something with an employee. I don't know why they call me about these things." And it's like, "Wow, you cold-hearted bastard," you know. And he
So,
caused a
so
girl. Yeah.
this role caused him to vow to never play this kind of character again.
Well, yeah, because I think he played a lot. He was in like Flubber, Son of Flubber, all these like Disney movies.
As he was doing this movie, he had just signed a deal with Disney for the
Yeah.
Shaggy Dog movies.
Yes, he
And
did
he was really worried about what this role would do to his chances.
well, he was pretty evil in this role. But
Yeah, he
you
got
know some
hit on the street. Woman hit him on the
wow,
street because of this
something
role.
he deserved. He was so good at being a bad guy.
He
Um,
really was.
well, have you ever seen Double Indemnity?
I have not.
Okay, we're going to save that one for after the holidays.
Oh yeah,
I I am
next
definitely
year.
going to pick that one because that is a really good movie, and I wouldn't say he is a bad guy. He absolutely is, but he's got a coldness in him in that movie that is really chilling. You're supposed to feel for the guy, and he's got a real cold hardness in him. I thought, it was almost like when you see a guy that or woman that can play a really truly evil character, I've always felt like with acting, if you can pull something and you can something out of yourself that's so good, to me, it's like there's got to be a little part of that inside of you if you're that good at it. It's and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not an actor, but I do see some people can can play those roles a little too well, and they play them repeatedly. So and I think he could have made a really good living at playing only bad guys. I mean, he turned it around. He was the father,
Yeah,
and
he did pretty good for himself playing good guys.
he did. My Three Sons was a. I never liked that series really, but people loved My Three Sons, and
Hmm.
I did like some of the Disney movies he was in. I mean, what he was the absent-minded professor too, right? He was, or was he?
I don't know about that.
No, that was Jerry Lewis. I'm way out on a limb there, but yeah, the Shaggy Dog, Flubber, Son of Flubber, all those different ones. Um, but um, but yeah, so I mean, he did make a career out of playing good guys too later. And I mean, if you look at his face above your head right there, he looks so nice. Look at that smile. You think to yourself, that guy couldn't be a bad guy. Well, he sure is. He
But I mean,
sure is
those
in
are the
this one.
best evil people.
What's that?
Those are the best evil people.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It makes you want to really strangle them because you're thinking, oh, this is a nice person, and when they turn out to be that evil, it's like, man. But but yeah, he's truly evil in this one. Um, but yeah, like I said, the way this develops with him taking care of her and he's making her spaghetti and he's doing everything he can to make her feel better, and it starts to become very sweet, and but he's trying to save Sheldrake too, and he's telling her, oh yeah, no, he really cares about you, and he wants you to know that that he's sending his more his regards, whatever. But
I don't know. He was like it was just painful watching him like lie to every single person, including himself.
well, again, I felt like once he realized she was involved with Fred MacMurray, I don't think he felt like he had a chance with her, and I think that was probably the thing that made his there's the doctor's wife, and she's a really good woman. She says, I won't do this for you, but I'll do it for her because it's a, and again, they all thought he was, just a complete ass. But but yeah, like I said, I felt I felt like the buildup of the romance was just really nice, and and then it has the New Year's Eve scene where she finally she's meeting with Fred MacMurray, even right down on in that scene, and and she kind of like has this it's it's a sudden dawning on her that she realizes like, oh my God, like this guy's a really good guy and really cares about me, and then she just walks out on Fred MacMurray, and at that point Fred MacMurray's marriage had been destroyed because of the secretary finally revealing it to his wife after he fires her, and yeah, he's gonna go and they're gonna get an apartment together and all that, and she finally realizes, yeah, I don't want to be with this guy.
So for me, and again, this is personal opinion.
Yep.
It was too little, too late. I mean, like it's just painful watching Jack Lemmon's character go through this, be the anti-mensch that he is for most of the movie, and for McLean's character to be in love with this complete waste of a human, Sheldrake,
Yep.
um, so much so that she attempts suicide. She attempts to end it all in some dude's apartment that she didn't even know who this was.
You know something, no, dude, I'm old enough again. I've only got 9 years on you, but I've got 9 years, and it
Yep.
makes a difference. And um, believe me, I saw it. I saw it with all my sisters, with the stuff that they went through with guys, and how everything was so much different. And just even how women thought back then, because when you're talking about the 1950s and 60s, the difference in what women were thinking of as I mean, movies love to portray women like from, okay, the 1940s, when yes, women started taking jobs in factories and, and doing roles that were normally men's roles, taking on careers and things like that. But, right after the war ended, the men went right back to taking all the jobs again, and the women went back to being housewives. And in fact, if they took a job, a lot of times, as soon as they met a guy, they got married, and they went back into their and they were becoming housewives again. And so it was a slow change where women
But
started taking on careers. Well, these women, a lot of these women in this movie, they were secretaries that would meet a guy, get married, and have kids. The elevator girl, she's going to get married to a guy and have kids. And so they didn't have those same, so that was the important thing was land a guy, get married, have kids. It
and
was,
this is why I prefaced my statement by my opinion.
yes.
I don't like the romance in this movie because she loved Sheldrake until like maybe the 75% mark. And then
Well,
like that she
but
realizes her affection for Jack Lemmon's
do you
character.
know how many
And
movies,
for a 2 hour movie, for my
Dom,
investment, my enjoyment,
Dom, do you know how many romance movies that women love? Rom-coms. I
and
don't
I'm
think that
again, my
it,
opinion.
I
This is
know
the
because you're a
preference.
dude, but you're a
So,
dude.
so, so other people have other opinions. I am saying
I'm
I personally
right.
thought it was too little
And
too
I'm
late.
saying for a rom-com, this is actually one because I don't usually like a lot of rom-coms. This one, I actually really, I love Jack Lemmon in this. I love Shirley MacLaine in this. As much as they go through a lot of disillusion and a lot of, misconception about who they're with and all that, it's still it's one of those kind of movies that that's what they do it in. If you've ever seen When Harry Met Sally, um, that which is a great movie, funny
In
comedy. They actually don't. There's like the light bulb comes on. Suddenly, there's the dawning of I actually love this person, and then and that's what rom-coms do. They have the characters running towards each other in the last scene of the movie, and the person, and that's when they get together. That's what a rom-com is. That's how the movies end, and that's what woman love. And I don't even think I would make any woman mad for say, or most women mad for saying that because that's what women like in those rom-coms, and that's how Hollywood makes them. And this was one of the early ones that actually had the scene in the end when the light bulb comes on and she's like, I love him. And she actually starts running down the street to his apartment to actually find her man. And and I think that's a really cute scene because as she gets to the apartment, he had told her he owned a gun, which try owning a gun in New York City now. Good luck, buddy. Um, but he actually had a 45 and he tells her this story that he actually was going to kill himself over a girl and he had the 45 and it went off and he shot himself in the leg, but which had to be pretty painful with a 45. But she hears as she runs to his apartment, she hears bang, and she's like, "Oh my God, he killed himself." So she gets to the door and he opens it and he's got a champagne bottle, and because it's New Year's Eve, and she's so relieved. They come in and she's like, "What? He's packing. He's gonna leave," and that's what happens too when the dawning when she's in the restaurant with Fred MacMurray. He tells her, you realize that guy actually turned down threw it in my face. And that's when she realizes, wow, he didn't do, he didn't take the job, and he was so offended. He actually cared about me enough that he actually didn't turn the whole thing down and threw it away. But she sits down and goes, "Let's play cards." Because that's what they had been doing when she was recovering, and it's just, and he's
So,
looking
so
at her and he
again, I'm
goes,
I'm I'm saying, from my opinion, it was too little, too late.
"No, no,
But
no."
let me go a step further.
You can
Give
take you
your
can
honest
you can
opinion.
take all the steps you want, but
Would you
yeah.
say this is the best movie ever made?
What? Say that again?
Would you say this is the best movie ever made?
No.
No. So, in my research,
Wow, wow.
The Apartment has come to be regarded as one of the best movies ever made,
Okay,
appearing in lists by the American Film Institute.
you didn't say that. You said, "Would you say this was the best movie?" And I was like, "No," because I've got and that's
But what
like
I'm saying is, in doing my research, there are a number of people
yeah,
that regard this as either the best movie ever made
yeah,
or within the top 20.
right.
Do you
Well,
see this as being within the top 20 best
I
movies ever made?
okay. First of all, if you were asking me like where this movie was in my list, I could probably say it could be in my top 20. I'd have to sit down, there's so many good movies.
Right.
And
I mean,
that's
Apocalypse Now, The
but the what
Shining,
well, no, but I mean
Alien, Butch
when
Cassidy and the
of
Sundance
course
Kid,
there's so
Straw
many good.
Dogs.
Yeah, so I'd almost say you'd have to put it in my top 50, but absolutely, this would be on my list. I love this movie. I actually try to see this movie every year around New Year's, and I watched it earlier because we were doing holiday ones and Christmas ones, and I thought, well, it's a Christmas and you had never fully seen the movie,
Mm-mm.
um, but um, but as far as like yeah, I mean, you know, the way you frame that question, I take umbrage because
Umbrage.
yes, well, you framed it as, would you say this was the best movie ever made? Well, that's a tall order. That's
Well,
almost
and that's what I'm saying. Like I will say,
that's
without
akin to you.
reservation, this is a good movie.
As it's a great movie. It's if you had said to me, um, is this your favorite movie? I would have given you the same answer. It's like, no, it's not my favorite, but it's way up there. And I hate that anyway. I've had so many people say, okay, you love movies. I mean, do you know how many times that this question's been framed to me? What's your favorite movie? I will not answer that question. I
Okay,
can't.
let me reframe this movie.
Yeah.
Take your opinion entirely out of this. This has
Well,
nothing to do with
no,
you.
my opinion counts here.
This has nothing to do with you. I'm not asking you if this is your favorite movie.
Yeah. Well,
I
you
am
did.
telling you, I
Yeah.
am telling you that in reading about this movie, there are multiple people that rate this as one of the best movies ever made, above any
I
Kubrick,
okay, well, see, but
above
you
any Spielberg.
listen, when you say that, when you say it like that, I'll say, okay, I agree with that. I do think it's one of the best movies ever made. I love this movie. So, and I'm not really a huge fan of rom-coms. There's some that I like, and there's some I love When Harry Met Sally, but it's certainly not a favorite. And it's maybe I'll watch it once a year. I don't watch it every year, but this one I like this one enough. I love this one enough that I usually do try to see this around New Year's. Maybe not on New Year's, but I do try to see it around New Year's. And so there, you framed it badly because you asked me, is this your favorite movie or would you
No, I asked
consider
you if this
you,
was one of the best movies ever
yes,
made.
ever made? And, but if you say it as one of the best, then yes, I will agree. But you said, would you say it was the best movie that had ever been made? And it's like, no, because there's so many movies, and to me, that's the same question. What's your favorite movie? And I'm not going to answer it because I couldn't tell you. I've never been able to answer that question. What's your
And that's
favorite?
why, like I don't mean what's your favorite.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I mean, if you showed a movie to
yeah,
every human,
yeah.
how highly would it be rated by mankind overall, regardless of your opinion?
I to tell you the truth, I think this movie, if if everyone had a chance to see this movie, I think a lot of people would rate this. I think a lot of women would rate this extremely high. And I think a lot of people, period, if you know older movies and you can appreciate them, if Jack Lemmon, it happens to be one of my favorite movie stars. He's like Jimmy Stewart. I love for I'm talking about like people, especially characters that they have played that are and just the type of actor they are. Jack Lemmon, Jimmy Stewart, like those guys, they're cream of the crop. They're right up there with the best of them for like movies that portray a guy in a really it's an admirable way. It's a Wonderful Life. I love that movie. When people ask me, like, I'm tempted to almost say It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite movie, but it's not. There's so many movies that can fill those roles. It's certainly it's like, can it be like my top five? Probably. Um, I mean, I love The Wizard of Oz. That's not everybody loves that movie. It's kind of, some people look at it, oh, that's a kid's movie or something. I love that movie. It's a beloved movie for me. But I try to watch that once a year if I can. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this one really got into my heart. I love this movie. Um, I got Alicia to love this movie, my niece Alicia, your cousin. But yeah, it's I don't know. Like I said, I love the way it all comes together finally. And yes, you have the frustrations, but that's a rom-com. That's what rom-coms are. And you'll see it with her when we finally get you to sit down and watch when Harry Met Sally. You'll see it's the same thing. It's because that's what they do for those movies, and that's what women love. And I may be risking myself by saying that because there may be some women that say, "Don't tell us what women love." But but at the same time, like I just know how they make a rom-com, and also I know the like enough women that I've seen how they respond to certain rom-coms, and it's like, yeah, that's what they want. They want that slow, long build that guys sit there and go, oh my God, this is like when is this gonna like wrap up? Because it's going on and on. But and that was one of my big problems with Serendipity. It was like so frustrating. It's like for God's sakes, get them together. You know, it's either get them together or end the movie. You know, but that's again, that's what they do. And this one is that same kind of deal. And it was probably well before they made a lot of other rom-coms that I consider are lesser movies to this one. But and that guy behind you playing Santa, by the way,
Yeah. Do you
I can't.
recognize him?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. He's been in so many. He's a character actor.
Oh, but he's been in one role that should be known.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Otis from the
Oh,
Andy Griffith Show.
absolutely. But I'll tell, yeah, Otis, Otis the drunk. But
Yep.
yeah, if anybody knows that show, he absolutely is Otis. But he's been in so many. He's played a shyster on the Brady Bunch. I mean, he's been in so many like roles where he comes across as this crazy. A lot of times it's a little bit of a shady character. But yeah, uh, again, that's why I say there's so many people that turn up in this one. It's absolutely fun, and again, it's a Billy Wilder comedy. Um, we've probably said as much as we yeah, and Larry Tate, Larry
So a
Tate,
few things I got to point out
yes,
is this office building.
okay,
So they wanted to portray the image of a huge insurance company,
right,
which meant, lots of workers, lots of people, huge office space.
yeah,
They didn't have access to that office space.
oh really,
And
yeah,
so they tried a little trick. Have you heard of the term forced perspective?
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so what they did when filming these office scenes is they got progressively smaller desks in the background.
okay,
And when they had to have people in them, there were children wearing suits in the very back.
really,
Yes.
wow. Wow, that makes me want to watch the movie again just to wow, that's a great piece of trivia there,
I
Don.
mean, when I found that out, that was like, I was already really loving Billy Wilder,
Yeah.
but when I found that trick,
Oh
that,
yeah.
oh, that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
That is Billy
But
Wilder's grave.
wow. Wow. That's great. That's great. No, believe me, Billy Wilder, his comedies, his movies, they're
For
just
anyone that's not familiar, he did Stalag 17,
yeah.
Sunset Boulevard, Some Like It Hot.
Cabaret, right?
I
Was it?
don't know about that. I mean, maybe, but I didn't
Yeah.
extensively research.
Yeah. No, there's so many good Billy Wilder.
So many great movies.
Uh, he's if you look at the list of movies that he was behind and did, he's just one of those. He's one of those filmmakers that I mean, man, when he got to the end of his line, he could easily be proud of his life's work because I mean, just great stuff, and and
Yep.
I mean,
There he is right there.
yes, yep. Yep, the great Billy Wilder. Yep. No,
Another thing I
absolutely.
discovered is that this movie was used as Kremlin propaganda.
Really?
because they saw this movie as being emblematic of the evils of capitalism.
Well, well,
They're
it
not
can be
wrong.
evil. Yeah, yeah, it can be evil. But I think it was more to tell you the truth. And hey, let's face it, the same shit goes on in or was
Oh
going
yeah.
on in Russia with because it's one of the things. I mean, we're guys, and but you know, guys can be complete and utter dicks, and especially if they have. I mean, so can women, but I mean, people having power over somebody else or whatever, and so the times and the opportunity. I mean, you look at Hollywood and Hollywood with the casting couch, and I'm sure it's still going on today. It's maybe more subtle and more careful, but it's still going on today. And
Oh yeah,
don't
power is power.
power's power. And anytime someone, whether it's a man or a woman, there's been plenty of women that have been in those same positions. I hate to say it because the fairer sex, but I mean they do it just the same as dudes do. But power corrupts absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and it's a matter of time a lot of times for some people. But you always would hope that you wouldn't be that person. I would hope I wasn't that person, but it's people can get caught up in that or just take shortcuts and all of a sudden they're doing stuff that it's like yeah you're evil too but but no um like I said I think in any institution but certainly corporate back in those days there was so much abuse going on so much and again it's sad but I fully you probably can't fully see all those thumbs, but they're there. So and there's my you can't see my second
So
thumb.
okay, I gotta say, good movie.
Yeah.
Two thumbs up. I
No,
still dispute that it is as highly rated as people rate it.
Tom,
Like,
this is a great movie. This is a great movie. Uh,
and
so
so I'm gonna say to anyone still watching, see the movie, tell us what you think.
yeah,
Is this one in the top 50 movies of all time?
I absolutely would.
I
I
know
would.
you do, and you're not alone, but
Yeah,
I'm very curious as to how many people out there feel the
yeah.
same.
Okay, so if there's anybody still watching at this point. If there's anybody still watching at this point, yes, leave something in the comments, please, because we would like to know your opinion. And I mean, for me, this I do consider this to be one of the better rom-coms ever made, and one of the top movies ever made. I think it's one of Billy Wilder's finest um, and a long list of things that he made that were terrific movies. So yeah, I absolutely love this movie. It's way up there on my list, and I really can't say enough about it. There's no way that I would ever even consider backing off of saying that I consider this to be like one of my favorite movies and that's and I've got a big long list of movies, but that's saying something because man, there's so many. When I think of different, I've already pulled some of them up, different ones that we've seen and talked about. I love the movie HUD, the Last Picture Show, on and on. I have so many movies that Psycho is a great movie. It's Alfred Hitchcock movies in general are just great. But Scorsese movies, there's so many of them. Kubrick, The Shining, you mentioned that one earlier. There's so many movies, and this is right up there with any of those movies as far as being a great movie. I love it. So, yep, I'll fight you on this one. So, But
Again, I'm
but
not saying that I didn't like it.
yeah. Well, it
I
kind of
do
sounds
not
that way, don't?
agree that it is that good.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get what you're saying too, but I don't agree, but I get what you're saying. And
And that's fine.
yeah, yeah, it is. Well, that's the beauty of what we're doing with this is it's us not only picking movies, taking turns picking movies, but it's also us um, giving our opinions. And we're not professional critics, folks. We've said this so many times. We are not in any way. We're just two guys that like movies. We love movies, and some movies we love better than others. And this is happens to be a huge favorite of mine. Not so much Dom's, but it's that's the great thing about movies is everybody it's like art. Everybody it is art, but it's subjective. So yeah, I love this movie. I do consider it to be. Dom thinks it's a good movie. However wrong he so
I gotta say, I think Some Like It Hot is better than this.
well, I see. I would. That's a tough. That's a tough thing to say there. I love Some Like It Hot. I really do. It's a great
That's a
movie.
great
Well,
movie.
we have to do that one too. That is an absolutely great movie, and a terrific cast. But
However,
but
it's still holiday season,
yes,
and it's my pick next.
it is. It is your pick. And do you have your pick before we
I
wrap
do
this?
have my pick. I've been
Nice.
waiting for a while for this pick.
Okay. Are you going to release it now and tell everybody?
I'm picking another cartoon,
Okay.
Tokyo Godfathers.
Really? Is this a
Yes,
holiday movie?
yes.
Really? Okay.
It's
Okay.
very much a Christmas movie.
Okay. I am anxious to check it out because I don't think I've ever seen it.
I doubt you have. I mean, again,
Yeah.
when it comes to animation, I absolutely love animation.
Oh, me too. But
And
when you said animation, I was thinking, oh, he's going to pick a Rankin Bass movie, or he's going to pick but hey, um, so do you know for our listening audience who is may or may not be listening now, um, do you know where that's available?
it's on Tubi,
Is it? Okay, great,
like
great.
so many other films we love.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, believe me, big shout out to Tubi. We
Totally,
have said this
totally.
before, but they need to be commended for what they actually offer as a free service. I mean, they have ads, big deal. I really don't have a problem with ads.
Not as many ads as I'm used to seeing on network television.
No, no, not at all. And some services that I actually pay a little bit of money for, um, I think Paramount Plus might be one. I'm trying to think of different ones that I actually and they still have ads, and some of the ones that you pay for have more ads than Tubi does as a free service. So my
I
hat's
stopped.
off to
I'm no longer paying for Netflix because of their ads.
yeah. Well, yeah, I don't even want to say, but yes, Netflix. And I'll tell you what a disappointment what about disappointment the Tyson fight was. They couldn't even,
Uh,
yeah. Oh my God, they couldn't even. Poor Tyson too. I'm glad he got this pay, but my God, that
I didn't even consider watching it. I knew it was going to be a total crap show.
yeah, it was, and I deplore that I wouldn't even want to say his name, but they stepped in the ring, and it
Yep.
wasn't fit to step in the ring with Mike Tyson, the great Mike Tyson. Guy's 60
But,
years old or almost 60, and a young kid trying to fight him. It's like,
but,
really?
but given how off topic we've gone,
I know, but when you brought up Netflix, shame on you, Netflix, shame on you.
shame on
Um,
you. Yeah, totally.
yeah,
But
but
I think this is a good place to call it.
it is a good place to call it. And Dom, I'm anxious to check this out now. because I do not think I've ever seen it. And I'm
It's so
sure.
Christmas.
Wow, really? You really got me intrigued now. That's great. That's great. I think this was I had a fun time talking about this movie with you. I love it when we argue a little bit.
Oh,
Um,
these movies are always great.
yeah, yeah. They no, they truly are. But I love it when we argue a little. That just makes it more fun, you know.
It
But
does. It does.
I'm gonna have to come out and just say some bad stuff about.
Totally.
No, my problem is I tend to like I love so many movies and I enjoy movies so much that it's hard for me to actually have hate or bad feeling about most movies. If you get me saying stuff about a movie, it's truly bad. It's truly bad because there's so many movies that I just adore. But yeah, I'm anxious to check this one out and try it out. So so yeah, Dom, I think we probably can wrap this up. I think it was a fun one to talk about, and
Oh,
I think
totally.
I definitely had a good time. Yeah, this is a movie I could continue talking about this one, but I think we've said what we need to say. So yeah, fun movie, folks. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. Especially if you do like holiday movies, romance movies. Um, Check it out. It's a great Billy Wilder comedy. There's some drama too. There's some sad stuff in it, but it has a real happy ending. It's a beautiful ending. So check it out, folks. And thanks for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share it if you would. We need the help. We need the promotion. We need the watch time. So we hope you guys are checking it out, watching our stuff, and um, till next week, Dom, I had a great time. I hope you
Always.
did, and we'll do it again next week. Dom's pick next week, so
Yep.
cool. All right, Dom. See you next week.
I'll see
Take
you,
care.
man.